Now at noon, a long-awaited ruling from the Supreme Court today. The justices decided that former President Donald Trump is entitled to some immunity in his 2020 election interference case. Thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. In a 6-3 vote, the justices ruled that the former president is shielded from prosecution for, quote, official acts while in office. Now, the high court did not determine what constitutes as an official act in this case, now leaving it to the lower court to decide. NBC's Alice Barr has those details.
The Supreme Court today ruling that former President Trump is immune from prosecution for some of his alleged conduct while he was in office, in a decision that is expected to bring more delays to the federal election interference case against him. The 6-3 decision, with all the liberal justices dissenting, sets a new standard crafted to apply to future presidents as well. The High Court ruled that presidents are not entitled to immunity from personal acts, but that some conduct that's closely tied to their core duties as president are off limits to prosecutors. That sets up the major question: what is official conduct and what is not? The case now goes back down to a lower court to sort that out. And the time that will take makes it highly unlikely the public will see a trial over whether former President Trump tried to illegally overturn the 2020 election results before the upcoming election this November. That in itself is a big win for the former president, whose legal team had sought delays. And on social media today, he called this a big win, while a senior advisor to the Biden campaign said that the ruling does not change the facts, arguing that former President Trump snapped when he lost the 2020 election. It is possible there will still be a hearing before the November election that would lay out potentially some of the evidence that could be used at trial. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
In your local news headlines, the city of Portland will begin enforcing its new camping ban today. Violators could face fines, jail time, or both. Here's how the city says it will play out. First, outreach workers will target camps that are causing the biggest problems. Campers will be offered shelter space if it's available, and anyone who refuses to take the available shelter space, that is when police will show up.
If you refuse to comply after you've been offered carrot after carrot after carrot, in comes the stick. And the stick is a fine or a jail term or both.
So if you were offered shelter, what would you say?
If there's a couple one that our dog can come to, potentially, but if not, I probably would not take it.
So you would choose jail or a fine over shelter?
Yeah.
So again, people will only be fined or put in jail if shelter is available and they refuse to take it. The city says it's also working to open up more shelter space. Also happening today, Oregon's minimum wage is going up by 50 cents an hour across all levels. $14.70 is the new standard minimum wage in the state. It's a little higher in the Portland metro area at $15.95 an hour, a little lower in some rural counties at $13.70 an hour. And also starting today, any employee who qualifies for both Paid Leave Oregon and the Oregon Family Leave Act can now get up to 24 weeks of combined leave. That's an increase from the previous cap of 16 weeks. Paid Leave Oregon launched last year. It allows up to 12 weeks of paid leave a year for the birth of a child or other major life events like a serious health issue. All right, let's talk weather as we kick off the first week of July. With temperatures heating up, we are calling for weather impact alert days by the end of the week. Chris McGinnis is here to tell us how hot it will get and the impact that it will have on you. Chris.
Yeah, thanks for that, China. Well, first off, the weather impact is that we are looking at potentially 3 days of 95-degree plus heat. And when I say plus, the models are kind of inching a little higher as we get closer to that time frame. So that's something that we're watching out for. Again, the time frame here for the, let's call it high heat, is Friday through Sunday. So Thursday, the 4th of July, we get warm then, but it gets really warm after that. The impact, again, when you start talking about temperatures that warm, heat stroke, dehydration, etc. So just be aware that if you have outdoor activities planned later this week, into the weekend, big holiday weekend, just know that we are entering into some pretty hot weather, I think, in that time frame. All right, that's a couple of days away. In the here and now, it's gorgeous out there. Wells Fargo sky camera showing broken cloud cover over downtown. The freezing level almost up to 12,000 feet now. It's 75 at PDX. It's 73 in Hillsboro. Westland checking in with 76 in the big perspective across the state right now. The Dow is 80 degrees. The wind is really whipping through the gorge today as well, so a breezy day there. Lots of sunshine today, tomorrow, and then we watch the thermometer and how high will it get? I'll try to have that answer for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you. Now to an update on what appeared to be a coordinated theft of a furniture warehouse. Today, Portland police say they arrested Shannon Clark for putting a big free sign out in front of a warehouse in Northwest Portland. They also say the property owner never gave anyone permission to break into the building and distribute inventory. KGW's Ashley Grams has that story.
A normally quiet street in Northwest Portland was buzzing on Sunday.
I was like, what's going on? And came down here.
So many people out in the street, and there's boxes pretty much in that bike lane right there, and it was just full of boxes.
Davina Cruz lives in the neighborhood and says people were inside this warehouse at the corner of Northwest Vaughn and Northwest 25th, walking out with anything they could carry. Neighbors saw people loading the boxes onto trucks and into cars.
Oh my God, the boxes were huge. They were bigger than me.
Saw all this mattresses and all this craziness going on.
A sign on the building says Schiller and Vroman, though that business was sold in 2019. Portland police responded and appeared to secure the scene around 3 in the afternoon.
I've never seen this much cops around here in my life.
Once Portland police showed up and people started to clear out, it became easier to see what was left behind. Plastic and furniture, but also dozens of cardboard boxes. These ones are empty.
Now, as for why this happened,
Somebody said, they said free mattresses, free everything. And so people started coming here and grabbing stuff.
Cruz heard something similar.
And a few people said, oh, there's someone in the back saying we can grab, whatever, and directing them what they can and can't take.
Ashley Grams, KGW News.
Clark was booked for several charges, including burglary and theft, and officers are now working to determine how much property was taken and by who. To an update out of North Portland, where police say a shooting investigation at a TriMet Max platform is now a homicide investigation. Portland police say 39-year-old Sean Smeeden died of a gunshot wound at Thursday night at North Interstate in Prescott. There were no buses or trains in the area at the time of the shooting. No one has been arrested. Portland police are asking any possible witnesses to reach out. The Oregon State Ethics Commission has decided to not launch a full probe into complaints against Governor Tina Kotek and First Lady Amy Kotek Wilson. This all has to do with the role of the first spouse. Now, you may remember we reported on this, that the governor came under scrutiny earlier this year for reportedly trying to create a formal office for the First Lady. The governor later said an official office was off the table and that she would seek guidance from the Ethics Commission. Yesterday, the commission decided there was not enough evidence to find the governor or the First Lady violated ethics rules. Meanwhile, the Woodburn School District is dealing with its own ethics complaint. Staff claims the board chair violated ethics when she started offering therapy services to her students. They say board chair Noemi Legaspi, who's also a licensed therapist, began offering therapy sessions to Woodburn students after she and other board members approved a $6 million state grant for mental health services. Since then, staff say that she bypassed rules which states in-house services must be provided to students before a third-party therapist is contracted. There's also been instances where staff say Legaspi solicited her therapy services at school events.
If I heard of any sort of other public official, whether that be city council, a senator, anything, who's supposed to be serving the public interest, vote on something that would increase their own salary, I think that there would be a lot of people very angry about that.
We reached out to both the school district and Legaspi for interviews. Both denied our requests. Over the weekend, the Portland Bureau of Transportation unveiled new safety features for bikers and walkers in parts of southeast Portland. Improvements include more than a dozen new crosswalks, an intersection redesign, and mobile speed reader boards. PBOT says the improvements are all about keeping people safe.
We want to make sure that families feel safe bringing their children out. We want to make sure that people who are walking their pets feel safe doing so. We want to make sure that people who are using the roadways understand the systems that are in place to ensure that they're paying attention as well.
PBOT says it would also like community feedback on the work they do as major projects continue across the state.